Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Investor's Wisdom Nugget. In my previous video, I talked about the investment philosophy. Now that you have your philosophy in place, your philosophy should be documented, it should be written so that you stick to it. Remember, we said your philosophy is your roadmap. It will help you to decide what you do and what you don't do. For example, someone will say, I don't invest in beverages companies because because of my religious beliefs. They will stick to that no matter whatever happens. Even if there is so much potential on those counters, they will not indulge. So what do you do now? You need to understand from a layman's perspective how the economy operates generally, like how the economic outlook affect which companies in which way. I will give, for example, there are companies which will do well when the economy is struggling. There are companies which will perform very badly when the economy is struggling. I would say, for example, take beverage companies. When people are in lockdown, in some countries, people will be drinking beer. Nothing to do, they are not going to work. So you may be shocked to find out that beverage companies will actually perform far much better during the lockdown period than during the other normal states of the economy. From a layman's perspective, companies derive their value from their ability to create value. What is value? Their ability to generate revenue. That's the source of value for companies. So companies periodically produce a set of financial statements, and usually the critical financial statements that they produce are: number one, the income statement; number two, the balance sheet; number three, the cash flow statement. These statements should not be looked at in isolation as they are closely related and knitted. So you realize what could have come from the income statement would go to the balance sheet, retained earnings would go to the balance sheet side under the equity, and then it is also from these two statements that a cash flow statement will be like a reconstruction, will be reconstructed from those two statements. But from a layman's perspective, should you look at all those financial statements, obviously you won't understand them or they won't be very useful to you. But I will give you one key ratio that you need to look at. This ratio is called the price earning ratio, the PE ratio. It is simply the market price of a share divided by the earnings per share. What does this ratio tell you? This ratio actually tells you how long does it take for this company to buy itself back. Let me put it that way. For example, if a company's price is £100 and this company's earnings per share is £10, it means it would take this company 10 years to buy back itself. If you have invested in it, I would say to recoup your investment. This ratio is very important because analysts use it, fund managers use it. So even if you are a retail trader, you will be affected by how people interpret this ratio. From a perspective of a layman, when you look at these ratios should not be looked at in isolation. What I want to advise you to do is, when you look at this ratio, look at it from the perspective of what is happening to the ratio, like a trend analysis. Because remember, when you are buying shares, you are not buying history, you are buying into the future. Is this ratio improving? If it's improving, that's a positive. Secondly, you need to compare this ratio to a benchmark. A benchmark in this perspective, I would say the first benchmark would be to compare this ratio to the weighted market price earning ratio. For example, I would arbitrarily say if it's 25 and you have a share which you are actually interested in and its PE ratio is 15, that share, the market would actually say it's cheaper than the market. So it would be a good buy, provided everything else about this organization is positive. When you get hold of the financial statements, also be keen to look at a sector where it's usually called the outlook, where the directors of the company will actually talk about their view, their perception going forward. They will usually tell you if there are challenges that they are anticipating. They will usually also indicate if there are growth potential, growth opportunities. That is a very important section because these are insiders. That is the only time that you get insider information that is valuable for you to take a position in a company's shares. So you need to understand this small section, read it. What are they saying? Are they looking ahead to serious challenges? If there are insurmountable challenges, then I would advise is either you hold on your decision to buy those shares. That is the PE ratio. After comparing this PE ratio to the market, you may also want to ask yourself, if this is a counter that is in the banking sector, for example, is it the best bank in terms of performance? You also compare it with the sector. Is it the best performing bank in this sector? If it's one of the best performing counters, then that's another positive. Secondly, you have to briefly look at the balance sheet. The balance sheet is a statement of financial standing. It's a statement of financial position. It's a statement of financial soundness. It is the balance sheet that is a statement which talks about a company's credit worthiness, how the activities of the company are being sponsored, who is financing the company, is it creditors, is it shareholders. So you don't want to buy into a company which is heavily borrowed, which is heavily geared. I know they will always tell you gearing increases value, but it is only to a certain extent. From the balance sheet, the third most important financial statement is the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement's importance cannot be overemphasized. It is the cash flow statement which tells you, is this company generating cash? Forget about income generation. It should, at the end of the day, translate to cash, because when you expect your dividends, they should be paid in cash. If a company does not have cash, it cannot pay dividend, number one. Secondly, the management cannot take advantage of opportunities, because all opportunities will require cash. So it's important that a company should be generating cash. A positive cash balance is very healthy, is very good. So you need to be worried about that. I will be grateful if I get feedback from viewers. If you have any of these statements that you want me to talk about at great depth, I will be happy to do so. For now, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe. You can share this channel with colleagues. Thank you so much once again. You can give me feedback. Thank you so much. Bye.